welcome to Humblehus. We are going to be making this summer blanket today. Here are some of the items that you're going to need: scissors, crochet hook, and some yarn. Now the yarn that I'm going to be using is this Sugar and Cream by Lily Yarns. It's a medium 4. The recommended hook size is a 5mm, which is exactly what I have, so that's perfect. You are going to need about, well, for the size that I'm doing, you need 10 skeins. I bought this at Michael's, so this is the color, hot purple. If you want to do the exact same one, that's where you get it. Okay, so let's get started. First, you want to make a slip knot. So the way that you can do a slip knot is by taking the end of the yarn, putting it around your 2 fingers, inserting your hook, and pulling on that yarn as you're holding both ends. And very important, you have to do chains in multiples of 10. So, like 10, 20, 30, 40. So let's just get started. I'm going to do 110. If you don't remember how to do the chains, it's just fairly simple. You put your hook under the yarn, you twist it, and then you pull through that loop. And then you start counting. So far I have 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you want to keep count of these because you don't want to have to go back and count. You can add a little marker every 10 chains if you like. When you have those chains, I will meet you back here. Okay, I have 110 chains. That measures about 35 inches long. And then when you have however many chains that you chose to do in multiples of 10, on this last one, you're going to put your finger there. You're going to chain 12 extra. Okay, so those are 12 extra. From here, you're going to count back 3 chains, which is 1, so from your hook, 1, 2, 3, and then in this 4th one, that's where we're going to insert our hook. We're going to do a double crochet into that chain. Remember, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the other 2 loops. Let me just show you that double crochet up close again. Yarn over, you insert your hook in there. So not in the one that you just did. Then you want to go into the next one. Then yarn over, twist, and pull up a loop. You're going to be left with 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, twist, pull through 2 loops. You're going to be left with 2. Yarn over, twist, pull through the last 2. And this is what you're going to do until the end of the row with double crochets all the way. Now I'm almost at the end of this first row, and I do have to say it's, working with this cotton yarn, it's not as soft, especially it rubs a little bit on your fingers, but it is so versatile when it comes to using it for your baby because you can put it anywhere on the floor and you can just wash it. So, and it's cotton, it's just good overall. Anyway, this is the last double crochet stitch. Now turn your work, chain 3. Okay, you're going to skip this one. You're going to go into that second one. Do a double crochet stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the other 2. So the same thing you've been doing in the first row is what you're going to do in this second row, all the way to the end, double crochets. And I will meet you at the other end. This is the end of row 2. Just make sure that you finish off correctly because it looks like this will be your last stitch, but it isn't. You still have 2 more to go. Do this double crochet. And then the last double crochet, you're going to do it into the my baby's trying to just laughing at me. Okay, sorry. So the last double crochet, do it into this top chain from the previous row. Now turn your work again and chain 3. You have your 3 chains. You're going to skip this first one again, and you're going to do the first double crochet in here. You're going to do a total of 4 more double crochets, including that first chain. Now this is where we're going to start our little flower, if you want to call it that. Okay, you gotta be careful here. We are going to work around this post, and what we're going to do is double crochets, so 6 double crochets around this post. You yarn over, you're going to go through here and through the back of it, yarn over, you pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2. So that's your first double crochet. But we need 6 of these around this post. So do that again. And as you keep going, it's going to get harder because it's going to be hard to see where exactly you need to go. That's your third one. Go through there and behind it. I know you think, oh my god, nothing fits anymore. But yeah, you can do one more. Through that back, just make sure you're going through that post. So there, you see, you went down. Now turn your work upside down, because now we're going to go back through this post. So the one basically before it. So if you see, if you have it the right way up, okay, we went through this post, and now we have to go back to this post over here. That's why you need to turn your work upside down and do 6 double crochets into this post. Now you're just going to go back up, basically. It's gonna get tight, I know, but it will fit. Now you're back at the top. See that? So you formed basically a little circle. When you're at the top, okay, do you see? There's like this long thread. Let me show you. So there's always one from each stitch. So this one, this one, this one. Okay, you get the idea? It's always that long thread that you see. We're going to go into each one of those. So there should be 12. So you go in, and we're just going to do single crochets. Insert the hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So that was the first one. You see this is that second one. You get the idea, right? So do 12 of those and you'll be back at the top. I know that last one gets a little bit complicated, right? Because you can't really see that thread. Okay, but you have 12 single crochets. We're going to keep working on the back of this. So we're just going to keep going. Basically, you move the flower out of the way, and then this is the next stitch that you have to go into, because that's where we left off, right? Because this was the post that we worked into, and so we do double crochet into this one and into the next 9 stitches. So you'll have a total of 10. After the flower, you have a total of 10 double crochets. And there's the 10 double crochets. Going to repeat the same thing that we did over here. Let me show you again. We're going to work into this post. So not the one right underneath this last one, but the one right next to it. We're going to do 6 double crochets around this post. There are my 6 double crochets. Now I'm going to turn my work upside down and work on this post. So 6 double crochets into this post. There, your 12 double crochets in total. Now remember, we're going to go into these long loops and do single crochets into them. So we need 12 of those. I know that last one, it gets complicated, right? It's number 12. You have that, and now remember, you're going to move the flower to the side. You're going to work into this stitch, right? So do your double crochet into this stitch. So we need 10 double crochets again before the next flower. There we are again. Do your 6 double crochets down on the one post and 6 double crochets up on the previous post, so that you have 12. So keep going this way where you do the flower, and then you do 10 double crochets, again a flower, 10 double crochets, and before you get to the end we need to leave 5 stitches. So I will meet you almost towards the end to show you how that's done. Here we are at the end of this row. I bet you felt like it took forever, right? It is quite some work. Now you should have 5 stitches left. So I have 5 over here. This is where you're going to do your last flower. So do that. Now if you don't have 5 stitches left at the end, that means you did something wrong. You counted somewhere wrong. Something happened, and you need to go back and check that. Otherwise the rest is just not gonna follow. And simply finish your double crochets till you reach the end of the row. So there's those last 4, right? Because you went into that, since we left 5 at the end, you went into that 5th one with the flower, and then there's 4 left. Okay, now turn your work and chain 3 again. You're going to skip that first one over here and do a double crochet into this next one. We are just going to go back doing double crochets until the end of the row. Okay, now here you're obviously going to be a little confused as to, okay, where do I go into, right? So you did these, so the chain of 3, then 1, 2, 3, and then you have to start with this one down here. See how this one comes out? That's the one from that little post. You're going to insert your hook. You see that? So it's just a continuation of it, and just keep doing that all the way to the end of the row. Just always be careful not to go into the actual flower. I'll show it to you over here again. Okay, so right before you get to where the flower is, so there's that stitch that, when you finish the flower, you connected it back to the back, and if you line up the stitches, you'll be able to tell. Okay, so do you see that? So you want to line up a stitch here. That's how you can tell, if you've been following correctly or not. You see that? So you follow this stitch, this line, and then this is that post. Now you're going to do that other post. Okay, almost at the end. Now turn your work and chain 3. You're going to skip that first one. You're going to do your double crochet into the second one, and you are going to do 9 of these. So 2, so you don't, at this moment you don't count this one right now. So 2, 3, okay, so 9. So you did the 3 chains and then 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 double crochets, chain 1. You're going to skip this, you're going to do a double crochet into the next one, like so. That's going to give us that little space in between. Now you're going to count 10. So this was your first one. You're going to do 10 double crochets and then chain 1 and skip that stitch. Now you're going to chain 1 again and skip this stitch like that. So that's going to give you that little detail, and you just need to keep doing that all the way to the end. So 10 double crochets, chain 1, skip that stitch, and so on until you reach the end of the row, and I will meet you there. Now if you need some reference as to the rows, if you like to follow rows, so you did the beginner's chain or the basic chain at the bottom, and then you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you are on row number 5 with this. Okay, after this last one open space that we left, you should have 10 stitches left. So you just do those 10 double crochets, and then you will turn your work and chain 3 again. Now if you're using the same yarn that I'm using, you are probably almost at the end of it, but I will show you how to switch the yarn once I'm there. But in the meantime, so skip 1 and then do a double crochet into that second one, and then do a total of 4 double crochets more. So if you want to count it from here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on this 6th one, that is the one that you chain 1 and skip. Okay, so now you're going to count every 10 again. Let me just show you when you get to this space. I forgot to mention, you are going to do your double crochet into the space. So you yarn over, go into the space so that you're not pulling on that stitch. Do the double crochet, then just keep going with the next one. Okay, until you have 10, and do the same in every space. Again, you should have 5 stitches left. So chain 1, skip 1, and just go into those last 4 stitches, do your double crochets. And I don't know about you, but my yarn is almost done, so I'm about to switch. And turn your work. Now this is the last row where we're going to leave spaces open. Chain 3, and we're going to do the same as in this row. So we have to do 10 double crochets, chain 1, skip 1, and so on. Just remember to skip that very first one and then just start counting. This is it. I need to switch my yarn, and what I do is I start the next stitch, the yarn over, insert my hook, but instead of taking this old one, with the new one I did a little slip knot. That way I can just pull it through like so. Now you have 3 threads. Hold on to the other 2, so the 2 that don't need to the skein, and then just finish this stitch as usual, like that. And these 2, you are just going to hold on to them while you do the next couple of double crochets, so that they're basically hidden. Just kind of run them along, and then whichever part sticks out, you can just cut that off. So for example, I could cut it off right here. Whoops, I almost cut part of the blanket, so be careful. And there you have it. That's how you're going to switch yarn. Once you're done with this row, what you're going to do is you're going to turn your work, chain 3, and then you're going to do double crochets. To be exact, you're going to do 3 rows of double crochet. I will meet you at the end when you're done those 3. So finishing those 3, you're going to turn your work like so. You should be on row number 10. So you started with your basic chain, and then you did row 1 and 2 of double crochets, then 3 you did the flower, 4 double crochets, 5, 6, and 7 you did those alternating ones with the spaces, and then 8, 9, and 10 were all double crochets. Now you chain 3 again, and you do 4 double crochets because we are going to do another flower over here, but we're only going to do 1. Okay, so do that flower, well, do the 4 double crochets, then start with the flower, then you do, so you did the flower, then you do the double crochet into the back, and then you keep going with double crochets all the way to the end of the row, well, not to the end, until you have 5 double crochets left. This is where we're going to do the other flower. I will meet you over here. There we are. So there's 5 stitches left, and this is where you're going to do that other flower and finish off this row, which is row number 11, and going to turn your work and go back. You are going to do double crochets for round 12 through 16. You finished row number 16, then you turned your work. We'll do another flower. Finish the row. Well, don't finish it. Go all the way to the end until you have 5 stitches left, and you do the other flower so that there's, this space in between. When you're done with that, you do rows of double crochets. So you do a total of 5 rows again without flowers, and then you do a flower again on both sides. So it's always going to be like 5 rows of double crochets and then flowers, 5 rows of double crochet and flowers. And you can do it as long as you want this blanket to be. I'm still gonna keep going for a little bit, and I will meet you in between to see, so you can see how it's coming along. It's a little bit hard to get everything into the camera, but just wanted to show you what it's looking like. This is row 29, so 24 to 28 was just double crochets, and then you just keep going like that. I'm almost halfway done, and then we'll start with this pattern again. I am on row number 62. I am on skein number 9. After row 61, after I turn my work, and I am on row 62, which is this one, we do again the 10 double crochets in the beginning, and then we chain 1 and leave this space. So we skip this stitch, and then you do your double crochet into the next one. So what we're doing is repeating that same pattern from the bottom of the blanket. Remember the spaces? So this is where we're at. I will meet you at the end of this row before we turn. At the end of row number 62, then you turn your work. You do your 3 chains, and then do a total of 5 double crochets, chain 1, skip that one, and go into that next stitch. Now 10 double crochets, skip 1, so chain 1, skip 1, and then again, the 10 double crochets. So it's like this for row number 63 in my case. I will see you at the end of this row. Now, in case you forgot, here in that empty space, remember that you just go into the empty space to do that double crochet. Now turn your work, and this will be row number 64. So do 10 double crochets, and then you chain 1 and leave that space. And then 10 double crochets again, chain 1, leave that space, all the way to the end of the row. Now you're going to be on row 65. That's what you're going to start now. And row 65 and 66, all you're going to do is just regular double crochets, and I will see you when you're done with those 2 rows. So once you've turned your work after those 2 rows, then you chain your 3, and this is row number 67. That is where you're going to do the flowers again. But if you remember at the bottom, this is where we do 5 double crochets, and then we start with 1 flower. Okay, and then we skip again 10, and we start with the other flower. Remember that? And that's exactly the same thing that we're going to do up here on row number 67. That's the first flower, then you do 10 double crochets, and then you start with the next flower again. So after you've done this row with the flowers, we're going to do 1 more row of double crochets. So finish the row with the flowers and then do a row of double crochets, basically back, and I will meet you here again. That was it. You're done with all your rows. At the end of this row, you just turn your work so you're facing the flowers. We're just going to do a border of single crochets all around the blanket. This was obviously row number 68. And like I said, you just start with, you chain 1. I'm sorry, I should have said that. So not 3, you just chain 1 because you're only doing single crochets into every stitch. Okay, and then if you're on the side of the blanket, you just try and go into every space that you see so that it ends up being even. And I will meet you back here. By the way, after you chain the 1, you don't have to skip that first one. So because you're skipping this, so this one, so you just go right into that first one. Hope you can see it. When you get to the corner, I will show you how to do those as well. All right, here's that corner stitch. Okay, so in every corner, do the same. Just do 2 single crochets into the same stitch to give it that rounded appearance. Well, I was able to go around it twice after all. I barely had enough. This is what it looks like. I just wanted to show you up close. Then just cut off the yarn when you're done with your border and thread in that loose end. And that's it, you're done. I hope you enjoyed this. Well, and I hope you're going to enjoy it a lot. You're going to use it in so many places with your baby. You can, use it all around the house, like if you're moving the baby from place to place. If you're going to a playground, then you just bring it back and throw it in the washer. Yeah, and I would love it if you would subscribe. Please follow me on Instagram at Humblehus. I would love to see how your work turned out. Just tag me in your photos, and I will see you next time here at Humblehus. Bye!